Hey, what's up, American history students? Welcome back. It is day 30. 30 days we've been doing this e-learning thing. Congratulations for making it 30 days. I know we've been out of school longer than that. Our country's been shut down even more days than that. But this is, I've been keeping track, the 30th day that we've been doing this e-learning thing. So that's pretty big accomplishment, pretty impressive. So kudos to all of you for sticking with it for this long. Keep up the good work. Looks like we might be having, not school, but other parts of the economy in the country are slowly beginning to open up. I think today we have a big announcement from the mayor and the county executive of St. Louis City and County about when the St. Louis area businesses will begin lifting, the government will begin lifting their restrictions. The state of Missouri already has. That happened this week. And then Illinois is still shut down till the end of this month. Logos School is closed till at least June 5th, but it's going to be longer than that. I'm not making any official announcements, but I'm being honest with you. I don't think we're going to be back June 8th at school, right? I think it's very, very unlikely that that's going to happen. What we're going to see is even as some of these businesses and other places are beginning to reopen, schools are going to be probably one of the last places to actually fully reopen and get back to normal, just because, we want to do everything we can to protect people, to make sure that students don't get sick at school. Schools are a good place to spread viruses, and so we're going to be extra careful with the schools. Now, this presents some interesting issues that may arise, especially when we talk about going back in the fall. If schools aren't ready to reopen in the fall, and that's a real possibility, and everyone else has to go back to work, what's going to happen with parents, right, who have to go to work, but their kids are still home from school? That's going to be an interesting scenario. Interesting scenarios going forward, but interesting times we're living in right now, because for a lot of people, if you watch the news, I don't know if you've noticed, for some people, they want everything to open up right now, and they're mad, and they're showing up at the state capitol protesting, right? Storming the Capitol, and they're protesters waving banners and signs and carrying guns. I think it's all a little crazy. But that's their right, and you and I have a right to say when we see protesters, those people are crazy, those people are stupid, they need to shut up and go home. But they have a right to say what they want to say, right? That's a great thing about this country. I do find it interesting, though, given what we've been studying, right? Think about it, right? You have a group of African American protesters show up unarmed, nonviolent. And how did the police respond to them back then? Well, we know, right? They're arrested, they're beaten, they're attacked with dogs and fire hoses. They're treated like they're, the most dangerous people on earth. And then I see a bunch of Caucasian protesters, mostly Caucasian, not all, show up with assault rifles at the state capitol, screaming in the face of police officers, being very threatening, and nothing happens to them. Interesting. That's just my take on the whole situation. I can't believe these people are allowed to get away with that, personally, especially given how we've seen police respond to other protesters. But that gets kind of to where we're wrapping up chapter 21. And the last section of chapter 21, which if we take a look at Black Bible, we'll see that's the assignment for today. It talks about the other approach, right? We've talked a lot about the nonviolent approach, and we've seen King's approach and how that sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. But it's understandable. Not everyone was on board with that approach, right? Not everyone's all about turning the other cheek, right? I can relate, man. You slap me in the face, you're going to get slapped back, right? And we had a student on one of our questions of the day bring that up, right? That, just letting people attack you probably got more people hurt and killed. What if you could have fought back and defended those people? Well, that's what we see at the end of this chapter. In section 5, we look at others in the movement who did not promote nonviolence, who actually promoted, fighting back by any means necessary. I'm talking about the James Baldwins of the world, the Malcolm X's, the Stokely Carmichaels. This is the topic for today. If we go under topics and we go into our civil rights movement topic, I do want to just point out, not everyone's taking advantage of this. I don't know if anyone's taking advantage of this, but it's up there, right? If you have missing assignments, right? And I don't even know if the people who are behind on assignments watch these videos. Maybe it's just the people who keep up and are, the really excellent students who watch these videos. But if you're not, right? If you are behind, that's okay, right? Because all the previous assignments are under topics. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, we go all the way back to the first section of this chapter. So if you didn't do chapter 21, section 1 last week or maybe the week before, it's right there. You can still do it. Take advantage, right? No one's taking advantage of that yet, but I think people will as we go on in the term. I hope people will. But today, you see that the most recent assignment is chapter 21, section 5, and there's the reading we can download right there. And if we download it, I always like to download it before I start the assignment, we see the name of this last section is "The Movement Takes a New Turn." A new turn, a more violent turn, a more angry turn. There's James Baldwin. He didn't promote violence. He was an author, but he promoted, he talked about being angry. He wasn't peaceful. He wasn't loving, right? He was mad, and I get it, right? I'd be mad too if I was in his position. Malcolm X, right? Malcolm X says, again, you slap me, I'm going to slap you back. I'm not going to turn the other cheek, right? Black power. Black power is what people like Stokely Carmichael started repeating, right? Stokely Carmichael says, I went to jail 27 times trying to be peaceful. I'm done being peaceful. I get it, right? So that's what, and don't forget the Black Panthers, right? Love the Black Panthers. Now, I say I love them. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that it's a different thing, right? Martin Luther King promotes nonviolence, and what happens to him? He gets assassinated. He gets shot, right? The Black Panthers say, we're going to arm ourselves. We're not going to let ourselves be shot. Different approach, right? So this is, I think, an interesting section. Talks about the riots that followed the assassination of Martin Luther King. There was another presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy, brother of John F. Kennedy, who supported civil rights, who was running for president. He was assassinated. And so we're really starting to see the beginning of the end of the movement, the civil rights movement. And this is the section that ends the chapter. So you have some questions to answer. As always, if we go back into Blackbaud, those questions can be found under the Assignments tab. Right there, chapter 21, section 5. You have your questions. You have your online submission. You also have the Google Forms submission if you prefer, right? It's right there. And there's 5 questions, I think, for this section. Yeah, 5 questions. Looks like I'm going to have to fix that. And then, of course, if we go back into assignments, we have our question of the day. And let's see what this question of the day is. Question of the day. Do you think the anger and violence that some African Americans promoted in the late 1960s was justified, given all of the hatred and violence they had endured? And did it accomplish anything? Well, the first part of that question, I say, if I'm being honest, yeah, it's justified, right? Again, anger is justified. Violence, maybe not. But defending yourself, you have a right to do that. Did it accomplish anything? That's the bigger question. No. What happened to all the people that fought back? They all got arrested and killed. What happened to the people that didn't fight back? Some of them got arrested. Some of them were hurt. Some of them were killed. Did they accomplish anything? Right? Good question, right? You give your answer. I'd like to know your guys' opinions. Looks like I already got 1 submission up there. I'm going to go ahead and submit mine. You submit your answer to the question of the day, answer the questions from the reading, and if you have any issues, let me know. Oh, and before I go, I have to promote Zoom meeting tomorrow. Zoom meeting tomorrow, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Zoom meeting. We are going for a record for the most participants in a Zoom meeting. It's going to be a very special Zoom meeting, so nobody miss it. I think the record is like 14. We need to break that record for most students in a Zoom meeting. That's the goal for tomorrow, so I want everyone there. See ya at 11 a.m. Look for the link. Peace.